mission, enemy mortar, coordinates 384621.
I had never been to no place but just 30 miles from where I grew up. And to go into the service, traveling, I never dreamed I would be going to some of the places I went. I was born in Buena Vista, Georgia, in the year of 1919. I'm from a family of 8. 4 boys and 4 girls. My father was the baby of the Shipp family. It was a large family. Back in those days, we had large families. The town I lived in was very small. It had one stoplight in it. Well, at first it didn't have no stoplights, but the last time I was there, we had one stoplight in it. The school I went to back in my day, you wouldn't believe it. One door in and one door out. All the class for 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 8th grade, all in the same class. The books you had was hand-down books that the white people had used and got rid of. That's the books we had. But I made it. I was in it, all kind of segregation. But that's all I knew, see, and where I lived at is most black people live there. It was about 2 white families in that area. But the segregation was there. You go to movies, you go upstairs in hard seats and watch the movie. And the whites would sit downstairs in nice, comfortable seats. But that's the way it was. We had to stay in our place. If you stayed in your place, you could make it. I guess I must have stayed in my place all I was growing up. Like I say, but that's the way it was down south where I grew up. In 1941, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, I was inducted in the Army real fast. Every person age 20 or 22, he was drafted, unless you had some rich person who could pay his way out, and we wouldn't have to serve his country. But for me, I was a poor man. The only thing I do is go and take orders and go wherever they send me. I finished high school in the military. I got my high school diploma, Fort Knox, Kentucky. And during that time, the Army was segregated, and we had all the top athletes out. I gave you some of the big names out there where I was stationed at. Joe Louis, Ray Robinson, Willie Mays, and Jackie Robinson. So I met all of them when I was out there. So that was experience me I never dreamed I would meet those people, but they were out there training with me. That's my basic training. We caught a ship and we went straight into North Africa. We landed in Casablanca, Morocco. That's when we went into combat with the Third Army with General Patton. From there, we went and invaded Sicily, the island of Sicily, just across from Italy. We captured that, and then we went into Anzio, invaded Anzio beachhead there. Some of the main cities we hit: Bologna, Italy. We captured Venice, Italy. During that time, the war was coming to an end because we had captured Mussolini. In 1945, we shipped us down to Leghorn, Italy. We caught a ship. It was heading for Japan to invade Japan. But during that time, President Truman dropped an atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima and destroyed its usefulness to the enemy. That bomb has more power than 20,000 tons of TNT. The Japanese began the war from the air at Pearl Harbor. They have been repaid many-fold.
And the war ended. Instead of me going to invade Japan, we just went on to the United States. Went to visit my parents, and peace meant so much to me. And I'm here alive and never got hurt or any harm to my body during the time I was in Italy. So I know I've been blessed. Peace is a great word as far as I'm concerned. When I was sent to Japan for occupation duty, some of the first troops to land in Yokohama, Japan. We had parades down in Tokyo. General MacArthur would come out and we salute him with all his troops going by, and he'd make his big speech. He was well liked by the Japanese. MacArthur was. They would say, General MacArthur's #1. They liked him. He got so high, and Truman came over and released him from his command.
It was with the deepest personal regret that I found myself compelled to take this action. General MacArthur is one of our greatest military commanders. But the cause of world peace is much more important than any individual.
He was a powerful man. He was over the whole Far East Command, over the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard. 5-star general. Back in 1950, we was in war with Korea. I didn't think it would be another war behind it. I was on vacation during the time when it broke out. I was stationed in Fort Bliss, Texas. They called me up and said, report back to your nearest duty station. We're in war in Korea. We start processing for war. Loading our equipment on flat cars. We shipped it from there to California. Caught a ship, went straight to Japan. Took my training there. For landing in Incheon. Stayed there for 18 months. No peace. Last war I was in Vietnam War. I was in Vietnam 1 year. That was enough for me, the worst war I ever been in. The Vietnamese, they were walking around. They were soldiers, but you didn't know it. We had some working for us in the mess hall and pulling KP. And after a while, something blew up in the area. You don't know who put it out. in the area where the planes land. When you got off the plane, that's when the rounds start coming in. You just got there. And you couldn't travel only by flying out in a helicopter. It was the most miserable war I ever seen.
The war in Vietnam is not like these other wars. Yet, finally, war is always the same. It is young men dying in the fullness of their promise. It is trying to kill a man that you do not even know well enough to hate. Therefore, to know war is to know that there is still madness in this world.
I was in a place, the name was Cornloy. That was a bad place. I was in charge of several groups. I was the highest ranking NCO officer there. For about almost 3 months, we was surrounded. Only way we could get supplies and food, he would fly it in and drop it out with a parachute. I got a call. He said, "I'm trying to get you out of that Sergeant Shipp, but I can't get you out." The best thing I come up with is a tank convoy is coming to your area. And the Vietnamese, they don't attack a tank convoy with M60 tanks and APCs. They don't attack them. So you get all your equipment and load it on your truck and get beside the highway. When it come by your highway around about 9:30, you infiltrate in the convoy. So I got all my men together and loaded for all my equipment, which I had been up there for around 3 months. When the tank column came through, we infiltrated and got in the convoy, followed the convoy from where I was in Cornloy to Da Nang. And that's why I stayed until the war ended. That was rough stuff. That's why I got my Bronze Star for bravery. I never dreamed I would get the Bronze Star, never dreamed of it. But I got it. I didn't have to destroy nobody. It was bravery for what I did with my group. How long we stayed in that same area. Went without food sometime, whatever we could get to eat. The colonel figured out after I catch a convoy of tanks, and I got out without losing a man. When the airplane went out of the runway and got airborne, I said this. I made it, but I lost a lot of people over there. But thank God I made it through. When I came back from Europe in World War II, it was a band playing all the military songs, and girls was dancing and making happy remarks to all of us. When I came back from Vietnam, there was nobody to meet you. That was a bad deal. No doubt about it.
As long as others will challenge America's security and test the dearness of our beliefs with fire and steel, then we must stand or see the promise of 2 centuries tremble.
No other country in the world does what we do. On every issue, the world turns to us. Not simply because of the size of our economy or our military might, but because of the ideals we stand for and the burdens we bear to advance them. No one knows this better than those who serve in uniform.
We have a black president,
As this time of war,
I never dreamed I would see a black president. It happened so fast, I couldn't believe it.
for these reasons I indicated in a speech at the National Defense.
He made a speech at a convention, and I heard him speak. I said, this man sounds like he just got his act together. And about a year and a half after that, he was president.
It is my great personal honor to present the 44th President of these United States, Barack Obama.
Our first black president. Things began to pop up that I never dreamed of. People in high places, up in Washington, D.C., the way they talk and how they talk about our president. Some of the things they say about him. How they have treated him and said things about the president I never heard of before. Give up, come out, and turn this over to us. I've seen more hate in this country than I think I've ever seen as of now. It's been hidden, but it's coming out. And that hate will get you into trouble. Hating a person who was trying to do a good job for the country. He makes himself very clear. He weigh his words and how he speaks. And his family, his daughters and his wife, is an example for all of us to live by. We've come from a long ways, but we have a long ways to go yet. Things are better. But with him being in the White House, he's showing there's a lot of hate. The world is watching us. We're supposed to be one of the leaders of democracy. We're preaching it, but we're not carrying out what we preach. And I can't see nothing good coming out of America where it's working now. I'm not a politician, I'm a military man, I guess. I saw a lot of things I don't understand about politics. I'm finding more about it since we have a black president. I pray for him every night that he can accomplish his goal. That's being a good president to lead this nation in the right direction.
let us never forget the source of American leadership. Our commitment to the values that are written into our founding documents, and a unique willingness among nations to pay a great price for the progress of human freedom and dignity. This is who we are. That's what we do as Americans, together.
We've come from a long ways, but we have a long ways to go yet. All people should be treated as citizens of the United States of America. That's what I want to see.